Now I'm going to show you how to set up a self-hosted WordPress blog. And I'm going to do this through the site hostmonster.com on the blog post at dalecallahan.com/WP setup. We have a couple other hosting options you can go to. They're all really good. I'm just going to use HostMonster as one that I've used several times before. Two things you're going to need to do this. One is a domain name you want to use, and another is a credit card. So here's what we're doing is I am looking at the domain name. Let's say I'm doing this for Beth Daniels. And what I like to do is go over to this tool, instantdomainsearch.com, where you can go in and you can just type Beth Daniels. Let's say she wants to do it under her own name. And it tells us bethdaniels.com is taken. And if I want to know who has it and try to buy it from them, I can get this here, but that's usually not the point. So I'm going to say, let's say her middle name is Mary. So so I'm going to Beth M. Daniels. Okay, well she can get bethdaniels.com, and that's available. Now that's the first thing you're going to need is the URL to point to, and obviously this is going to say we can get .net, .org, .biz. We can get all kinds of options. I would stick with the .com. I think that's obviously the most common. We can buy the domain right here. Don't do it. You'll see why we're not going to do that. Right now, I just use this as kind of a way to play around quickly with some domain names and see which ones work. This one works, bethdaniels.com. So now what I'm going to do is go to the site hostmonster.com, as you see there, and it's going to bring me up a hosting package. Now what this is I'm buying space on a server somewhere that's owned and controlled by HostMonster. They have all the same things you're going to have with many of these. They have unlimited space, unlimited domains, unlimited emails. We don't really care about that right now, but basically every one of them are going to be almost identical in terms of setup. So I like, and my recommendation would be Bluehost or HostMonster. There's many available, and all of them are going to be similar in terms of what they do for you, and all of them have great support that I've ever used. You call them, you get intelligent people, unlike other types of support. So I like Bluehost or HostMonster because easy to set up. Big fat sign up now button. I'm going to click that. Now if I already owned Beth M. Daniels, if I bought it and I want to set it up and it says I have a domain name, and I can put that right there, this would be the place to do it, and it would tell me how to point it to the right place. We don't really care about that right now. We don't own it, so I'm going to go in and type in Beth M. Daniels, and it's going to obviously give me the .com as the option and other options, but let's just say I want to do that. So I hit next, and now what it's doing is making sure that it's available, and at this point I'm told congratulations, it is available, and the domain you've requested is available. I can enter my account information, which is names, all of the stuff that you see, standard stuff. That's obvious. I'm going to skip over that. The package information, now if you look down here, you have multiple options you can do. Obviously the longer you buy it, and what you're doing, you're paying one flat price, and you're paying so much per month. I would just stick with, if you're doing this first, I would stick to the 12-month price and just go ahead and do it. You're talking about 70, 80 bucks at most. A couple of things that you will see here is Site Lock Domain Security, Site Backup Pro, Domain Whois Privacy that you see is highly recommended. You'll see how well I recommend this stuff. I would uncheck them all because they're all upsells. They're all trying to get you to buy more stuff. No matter who you buy from, they're going to have something. If you go to GoDaddy, it will have even more significant amounts of stuff to try to buy, and you'll end up with what should cost you 70 or 80 bucks costing you $200 or $300. You don't need all this stuff. If you do, you can get it later. Billing information, now you put in your Visa card, as we are all experts at doing, and then you hit the big fat next button. That's pretty much all there is to it. At this point, it's going to now send you email. It's going to get you to a login page to create your name and password, and bill you and do all that type of stuff. But pretty much you're done. I'm not going to do that because I already have an account with HostMonster and I don't need another one. So what I'm going to do now, and at that point in time, by the way, you have bought the domain, you've bought the password, and you bought the domain, and you've bought the server space. Now, Control Panel Login is where you're going to go. Now, it may point you back here, but if you get back in, you always go back to hostmonster.com, go to Control Panel Login. Now you've got a username and password. I have already logged into this, so my username and password, it was already in here and stored. Otherwise, it would ask me for my username, password, and brought you right here. Now, whether you buy HostMonster, Bluehost, InMotion, it doesn't matter. You're going to pretty much, once you get to the control panel, it's going to look pretty much like this. And these are all the things I can do to control my space on my server. More stuff than you probably will ever care about. I have done this for years and have never used all of these functionalities. Some that you might want to do is create an email account. Beth might want Beth at bethdaniels.com, like mine is Dale at dalecallahan.com, so she could do that. But right now we just want to stick with installing WordPress. So I come down here to the website builders, the Mojo Marketplace. You're going to find buttons. They might say WordPress, they might say simple scripts, they might say one-click installs, all of the above in this case. Basically, no matter which one of these I click, it goes pretty much the same place. So I'm going to click one-click installs. Now what this is doing is handing it over to another company basically to do this. With the one-click installs, basically all these things are zip files, a bunch of files put together in a big zip file, and then to install them, you move them over to your server space, to your directory, and you unzip them. So that's all you're doing, and that's what this is, just automates this for you. As you see, there's multiple blogs I can do. I can do WordPress, and I don't even know what all these are. There's all kinds of stuff on this page I can install. So you can play with that in your own free time if you want, now that you own the space. I'm going to install WordPress, which if you're going to blog, that's the way to go. Pretty much, you can read this if you want, but you can just hit start. And what's happening now is it's going to start finding the code and figure out what to do. And the first thing it needs to do is, what domain would you like to install to? Now, if you've just bought Beth M. Daniels or whatever domain name you've listed, it's probably the only thing listed in this pull-down list. As you see, I own multiple domains on this. So I'm going to choose one, and just let's pretend this is Beth M. Daniels or this is d10e.com. It's the domain I bought. I want to now check this domain, and by the way, I'm going to just go over here real quick, and if you look, this is at d10e.com. I'm going to refresh it, and there's nothing there. This is the page you get when it belongs to HostMonster, but there's nothing there. So I'm going to go back over to my one-click install and say check the domain. What he's doing now is he's making sure, okay, is there anything on that? I'm about to write into a zip file and overwrite everything on that space, and it's probably going to tell me there's something there because there's that HTML file, and we see, oops, looks like something's there. And if this is brand new, this doesn't matter. We say yes, get rid of it. I can show advanced options, don't care about that. I have read the terms of agreement. You obviously have to check that, and I hit install now. At this point, he's moving the zip file over, and he will start a process. And you see this right here, removing the files. He's doing all the work that you would have to manually do if you moving the files yourself. This usually is pretty quick. I have had this, when things are slow, take 10 minutes. Looks like this one's going to go quickly. What's going to happen is you're going to get an email that tells you essentially what's going to be on screen in just a second, your login and password and that kind of information. But at this very instant, this script is installing WordPress for you, and you're done. And really, that's all there is to it. You'll notice here, let's see, running the installation on your server. This is taking just a minute. And this is probably unzipping the file because it's already been moved over. And then we see now I've got a couple of things. It's telling me here's my site URL, which is the d10e.com. Here's my login URL. This is the administrator. It's always going to be your URL / wp-admin. Here's my username and password, which is going to give you one. You see this is a very ugly password. Don't try to get into this. I'll kill this site as soon as I'm done with this demo. But if I go back over here to my d10e.com and refresh, you'll see, voila, I have a WordPress site. And it's working. And I can click on the little buttons here and I can do things. And there's nothing here, obviously. But the dummy files that come over with it. So I'm going back over to, whoops, don't want to go there. I'm going to go back over to my install page. I'm going to copy my password because that's a lot to remember. I'm going to click to 10e and go to the admin page. And I'm going to enter my password. And then I'm going to, in my login and username and password, and hit login. This is the login page. And then it brings you to your WordPress dashboard. If you've never installed WordPress before, this is exactly what you're going to get every single time. I don't care whose server you're on, this is the software. So I am now running WordPress. And what this does is allowing me to control what's on that page I just showed you at d10e.com. So the first thing we want to do is let's play with doing a post. So I'm going to do post, add new post. And I'm going to say just come up here and I'm going to type my new post. And you can watch how all wonderful I do on typos, and this is why we have so many typos when I do blogging. So we'll say my new post. And this is just like me blogging. I could format things. I could hit a bullet list here and add some stuff to it, just like you would. And I could even say, well, I want to add some media. Media would be a picture. Hit select files. And let's see, I'm in the download file. So I'm going to pick this image, First Impressions JPEG, which is on my drive. This is something I've used in a blog post before. And we see there's the photo, and we see insert into post. Boom. Now, and I can do things with it and center it and do those kind of things. We don't really care about that right now. What I want to do now, though, is hit this nice little button that says publish. And at this point, you see the little spinny wheel, and it's published. And now it tells me, okay, this is the URL. But most importantly, I go back to the site, I hit refresh, and there's my new post. And there's my stuff, and there's my picture. And I have, this is now a link to take me directly to it. And this is, I can go back to the home page that shows me all the posts, and you can't tell much difference there, but it's doing something. Now, there's my first post. It's that easy to install, to get set up, in a first post in just a few minutes here. Most people would, the other thing most common you want to do is come over here to appearance and to themes. Most people don't like the look of themes that are downloaded. I mean, there's nothing wrong with this. You can use them. What's happening is telling you there's two themes that are already installed, 2012 and 2013. So you can use either one of those, or you can install a new theme, and I'm going to install Catch. It's a theme I've just used before, and simple, and I like it, and so it's called Catchbox, and I'm going to install now. And then it says I can do a live preview or activate. We just want to activate because this is a site that doesn't really matter. Now I go back to my blog. There's the blog. And watch what happens. Is by changing the theme, I have changed the look of my page. Now I click on my new post, and we see it looks the same as it did. The content is there, but the website looks dramatically different. And that's really all there is to setting up a WordPress, a self-hosted WordPress blog. I can get in here and I can change all kinds of functionality. I can do all kinds of things with this. But you have just done the basics that you need to do to get it set up. And if you want to look at back to this site and see the URLs from the different hosting engines we use, it's at dalecallahan.com/, WP Setup or WordPress Setup.